What is up, everybody? How y'all sports fans doing? All you sports fanatics, welcome to the show. This is Tim Reynolds Show. Now, in today's episode, guys, we're going over our 2024 free agency and offseason review so far for each division. Yesterday, we did the AFC East, and today, we're doing the AFC North. As you see, we're repping the Cleveland Browns for my father-in-law, who's a Cleveland Browns fan. So, everybody, tune in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave some comments, and let me know what you guys think of the show so far, man. If you're a fan of any team in the AFC North, let me know what you think, man. Leave some comments, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what's up, guys. Let's have a great day, great show. Now, to starting off on this one for the AFC North, we're going over the Baltimore Ravens. Last year, they were the division champions, so we'll see what they have done this offseason so far. Notable players that are no longer with the team: running back Gus Edwards, wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., offensive tackle Morgan Moses, edge Jadeveon Clowney, Kyle Van Noy, and linebacker Patrick Queen are no longer with the team. As far as guys they were able to pick up this offseason, the free agency moves that they were able to make: wide receiver Nelson Aguilar signed a one-year extension to stay with the team. They also re-signed defensive lineman Justin Menabuke to a big deal, 4 years, $98 million to be exact. And they also got one of the biggest pickups of the offseason so far, with running back Derrick Henry signing with the team, which immediately makes this team a whole lot better. We know how the Baltimore Ravens operate. Even with Lamar Jackson winning his second MVP last year, this team runs the football better than anybody else in the league. Ranked first in rushing last year again, which is something that they're used to doing. Even though they ranked 21st in passing, I think that just had a lot to do with their game plan on most days. And let's face it, they're going to run the football better than any other team in the NFL is going to run the football. So the fact that they get the king, Derrick Henry, is on their team now, y'all better watch out. This Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry combo can be dangerous. Not to mention, the head coach Harbaugh there has always got those guys on defense balling out, doing really good. So I expect this team, again, to be very good and compete next year, possibly for another division title and another run in the playoffs. As far as their draft needs go, heading into the draft later this month in April, they got interior offensive linemen they're going to need to address, offensive tackle as well. They're also going to be looking for some edge rushers on the defensive side of the ball, along with some safety help, but they'll also be looking for some wide receivers, which seems to be a theme with the Baltimore Ravens over the past few years. Now, Lamar Jackson is an MVP talent. They got him signed to a long-term deal. This is what we were talking about last offseason with this team. But it's nice to see the fact that they put it on the field today, this past year, made it all the way to the AFC Championship game. But they got to take that next step. And in order for them to take that next step, they need to get this wide receiver position down pat. And with this NFL draft really stacked and packed up with a lot of wide receivers, I expect that you're going to see them probably prioritize either the offensive line or the wide receiver position coming up in the first few rounds of the NFL draft for their first few draft picks. That's what I expect for Baltimore, and we'll have to see what they do during the NFL draft and the rest of the offseason as we head into next season to see if they can repeat as division champions. The next team up on there is Cincinnati Bengals. Now, last year they had the season-ending injury to Joe Burrow, which kind of derailed pretty much their season. So it'll be interesting to see what offseason moves they've made so far here in 2024 to try to help their team get back into contention next year. And looks like as far as their team moves, the guys that are no longer on the team, DJ Reader, defensive lineman, he got signed by the Detroit Lions. Running back Joe Mixon was traded to the Texans. And wide receiver Tyler Boyd, offensive tackle help is definitely something they're going to be looking at as one of their first free agents, or one of their big free agents, I should say. Offensive tackle Trent Brown was able to sign a one-year deal with the team. They were also able to re-sign offensive guard Cody Ford. Now, as far as their moves they were able to make this free agency season, I like these two so far. That offensive line is going to need some more help to bolster to make sure they protect Burrow. And you'll see with these other moves that they made, they're really focusing on making sure they get Burrow in this offense going really back to where they were just a few years prior. Running back Zach Moss signed a 2-year deal. They also tagged wide receiver T. Higgins. He received the franchise tag. They also got a couple of of tight ends. They re-signed Tanner Hudson. Also got tight end Mike Gesicki on a one-year deal. And tight end Drew Sample, one of their good blockers at the tight end position, signed a 3-year deal with the team. They're also able to get some safety help with safety Von Bell and Geno Stone being able to sign in the offseason. I like those moves because the secondary was a little bit suspect last year with their defensive passing. Ranking in passing was 28th in the league. Their rushing was 26th. So defense was definitely a big problem for this team last year. I think injuries probably had a lot to do with that, just like you've seen on the offensive side where they were ranked 15th in passing and 31st in the rush. So they're definitely going to have to prioritize getting that running game back on track next season, work on that this offseason heading into next season. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in the draft as far as getting both of these, the defense and the offense, both of these guys back on track so they can become a contending team in the playoffs again and contend in this division. As far as their needs in the draft, they're going to be looking at offensive tackle, defensive tackle, cornerback, wide receiver, and tight end. Now, I really do think that they're going to look at the running back position because they traded away Joe Mixon. And even though maybe that won't be one of their big draft needs, I do think because they've signed 3 other tight ends that they could prioritize a running back over a tight end as far as their draft needs go. Now, this is just my opinion. I do think they need to get more of a balance back on that offense, but they got to get this defense back to contending if they're going to be able to be a team that makes it back into the playoffs as long as Joe Burrow comes back healthy. Now, hey, Bengals fans, good luck next year. Hopefully Burrow comes back fully healthy, and hopefully T. Higgins is still around as well. There have been rumors about him possibly being traded or not happy with his situation. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But I think you still have a very, very good competitive team as long as they can get that defense tightened back up just a little bit more, in my opinion. All right, up next, guys, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. They didn't do so well last year, even though they were able to make the playoffs. Their offense in general wasn't really great. They made some changes this past offseason with hiring a new offensive coordinator, firing their old offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, and hiring new offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC South. So we'll go ahead and show you guys what players are no longer on the team and what players they were able to pick up in free agency to help them as we head into the draft later this month. Players that are no longer there, quarterback Kenny Pickett and wide receiver Deontay Johnson were both traded away in big deals for the team. Kenny Pickett was traded to the Eagles, and wide receiver Deontay Johnson was traded to the Carolina Panthers. And in return, they got cornerback Deontay Jackson in that trade as well. The Steelers did, as far as one player they were able to acquire after they traded away their starting wide receiver. Also, starting quarterback last year, Mason Rudolph, signed a 1-year deal with the Titans, so he's no longer with the team. Wide receiver Allen Robinson is no longer with the team. Also, cornerback Patrick Peterson, center Mason Cole, edge Marcus Golden, and let's not forget linebacker help they're going to definitely need some linebacker help heading into the draft and whatnot, because they've lost a couple of depth players on the linebacker position as well for Pittsburgh. So as far as guys that they were able to pick up this offseason free agency moves, we all know about the big quarterbacks. They were able to pick up and sign a 1-year deal with Russell Wilson this year for a veteran minimum, and they're also able to pick up a trade for quarterback in Justin Fields from the Chicago Bears. A pretty good move if you ask me for the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially when the quarterback room has been so mundane really the past couple of years and inconsistent, I guess is a good way to put it for them. Now, I'm a huge Mike Tomlin fan, to be honest with you, so I like a lot of the moves that they were able to make. They were also able to get linebacker Patrick Queen on a free agent deal, which I think is perfect for that defense. Also, safeties Deshaun Elliott and Miles Killebrew were able to be signed, and I love the sneaky pickup of wide receiver / running back Cordell Patterson for this team. He signed a 2-year deal, and him going back with Arthur Smith style offense where he was the past couple of years in Atlanta. I think that's going to be so underrated here and could be one of the biggest free agent signings for this division. I think he fits perfectly in what Pittsburgh's going to want to do, and will be interesting to see how they utilize him and all his skills at both of those running back quarterback and wide receiver positions. As far as their rankings going last year, they were 25th in passing and 13th in rushing. So they're definitely going to need to see more consistency coming out of the quarterback position, more consistency in the passing game. And then, of course, Mike Tomlin's going to try to make sure he establishes that run game. So hopefully they'll be able to get that consistency back going between the rush and the pass. And as far as on defense, they didn't do half bad with ranked 17th in passing defense and ranked 19th in rushing defense. Now, I'm sure that's not up to par to Steelers fans and to Mike Tomlin himself. So I'm sure that defense is going to really be a priority this offseason and during the draft. As far as their draft needs go, they're looking at offensive tackle and interior offensive lineman. They're also looking at the wide receiver position, but also trying to retool that defense with some cornerbacks and obviously some defensive tackle help. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with them making the playoffs last year. They're going to have a later first round pick. A lot of their picks are going to be later in the rounds. So it'll be interesting to see how they utilize the picks that they have to be able to get more depth on this team, because I still see them as a competitive team. Just don't know if they're going to be a playoff team. We'll just have to see what happens with that quarterback position and whether or not this defense can be contending once again. And then, guys, last but not least, we're going to go with the Cleveland Browns. Their free agency moves this year have been pretty interesting. I'm interested also in all the guys that they let go and didn't re-sign. Quarterback Joe Flacco was one that was a little surprising to me. He came in late in the season last year and actually helped lead them to the playoffs where they lost against the Houston Texans. But Joe Burrow was actually named the NFL Comeback Player of the Year. So this was a little bit confusing to me on why they didn't re-sign that guy. Running back Green Hump has also been let go. Defensive lineman Jordan Elliott and a couple of linebackers, including Anthony Walker, were not re-signed as well. As far as the people they were able to pick up this offseason, their first big move was one of the first big moves of the offseason thus far in 2024. Wide receiver Jerry Jeudy was acquired in a trade with the Denver Broncos, and pretty dang good deal as far as the Cleveland Browns are concerned. They were also able to re-sign edge rusher Za'Darius Smith to a 2-year deal. They were also able to get D-tackle Shelby Harris re-signed as well. They got a couple of free agents in quarterback Jameis Winston, running back Deontay Foreman, and a couple of free agent linebackers in Devin Bush and Jordan Hicks. I like these moves for the team. I really do think that this is going to help this defense be just as good, if not better, than what it was last year. They ranked first in passing defense and 11th in rushing defense. A top 10 overall defense. I think they might have been actually top 5 total defense last year. So these guys, I think, are still going to contend on defense. They got those good pieces, especially with Myles Garrett still rushing the passer, and that secondary is still to be reckoned with. And the acquisition of Jerry Jeudy, I think, is very, very good for them. You're hoping Deshaun Watson can come back fully healthy, and if he's got a good wide receiver tandem and Jerry Jeudy and Amari Cooper on both those sides, that's going to be really, really tough to defend, especially if Nick Chubb comes back fully healthy from his knee injury last year. I really, really do think that this team has a chance to compete again. Now, this division had 3 playoff teams last year, which I think a lot of people probably was a little bit of a surprise, I think, especially when you've seen the predictions at the beginning of the year last year. So for me, I'm really interested to see, are we going to get 3 playoff teams again from this division? I'm not sure. Now, as far as their draft needs go for the Cleveland Browns, they're going to be looking at offensive tackle. They're looking at wide receiver, tight end, the linebacker position, and defensive tackle position. I think they may prioritize the defense over the offense in the first round, but will be interesting to see with them making the playoffs. They get a later first round pick. So be interesting to see, man. See what kind of moves that the Cleveland Browns are able to make so they can get back into the playoffs. And yeah, so that will be the review right there, guys, of the 2024 offseason moves for the AFC North. Please tune in, guys, to more episodes as we're going to be going over all the other divisions in the next few days, heading into next week as well. So please be sure to tune into the channel, leave some comments, hit that like button, subscribe to the show. Tell me what you guys think. I love your feedback. And remember to treat each other good, guys. If there's one thing I've learned starting this channel, trying to live my dream, is that we all got to have each other's backs. We all got to reach out to those people that are close to us. stay in touch as much as we can, whether that's texting or calling, whatever it may be. Let's just try to make sure we stay close to those that we love in our lives, show them love, show them support, show them respect, and let's not forget that in this day and age, man. Even in 2024, one of the biggest things we need to remind ourselves is not only to pat each other on the back, but also pat our friends and family on the back too, and tell them how proud we are of them and how good they're doing. Thank you so much, guys, for all the support. This has been another episode of the Tim Reynolds Show. Hope you guys like it. Football, baby. Can't wait. It's WrestleMania week. I'm so happy to be on the show for you guys, giving you guys more content, showing love for the game of football, showing love for the sports, baby. Thank you so much. You guys rock, man. Peace out, everybody.